And first of all, we'll thank you both for making the time and for your interest as well in our program.
Mm.
My name is Professor Nagao. I'm also a vice president at Shizenkan University. I teach um, a class called entrepreneurship, which is a second year elective course. And also my passion is in startup and innovation. And that's the reason why I teach the course. I'll spend about 30 minutes or so explaining about our school as well as our program. And this is the kind of agenda we have, an overall view about the school, our kind of unique approach and our program characteristic. We'll also talk a little bit about our partners before going a little bit more into detail about the curriculum and how a average student life looks like, especially because it's a part-time program. A lot of the students have to balance work and private life and school life. And so we'll explain a little bit about that before talking about the next steps. And then, although we have a Q&A time, if there's anything that you'd like to kind of ask, and feel free to drop it in the comment box as well. I'll also keep an eye out on that, or we can also kind of address your questions towards the end. So I see we have another person joining as well, Yenman. So thank you for joining. And we'll kind of go through these agenda items on this explanation session. So I always like to start with this kind of question. And this is a question that we also ask ourselves, and which is, what kind of world are we living in? And if you look at that question, probably a few keywords may come up. And some of the things just highlighting is maybe you would think about, okay, the growth model that the world has had, the globalization, which has kind of grown a lot of economies, both national as well as regional, for the last 20, 30 years. But there's this question nowadays that is globalization over? And although it may not be totally over, there's certainly questions raised to a particular growth model that has been pursued. Some of the reason is the limited resource that we're kind of faced with. Probably before, we were under the assumption that we could consume a lot, spend a lot, with very little consideration about consequences. But there are words like planetary boundaries or initiatives like the SDG that are now seriously considered. Another aspect might be technology. And we've probably got accustomed to hearing about ChatGPT nowadays, and the kind of convenience that it brings about compiling information, drawing knowledge, and actually even writing up sentences on behalf of us. But then on the other side, as we've seen with the case of Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, sometimes technology can be used against us, and our data can be used to even manipulate us. So what does all this mean? Is that we probably are at a moment where even the leaders, corporate leaders as well as societal leaders, have to change. And then the natural question is, okay, what sort of leader is necessary? And then the questions to our students is, what sort of leader will you be upon completion of our program? So based on that kind of question and the realization about the situation, we kind of think that we are at a unique point of time in history, where when we think about the future, we need more than ever a lot of innovation and transformation, and also all of that kind of working for humanity, not against it, so that we can basically craft a better future of our society. And in that kind of world that we're living in, we try to ourselves change our MBA program that has been crafted in the 20th century, mainly in the US, and it has worked very well. It has brought people out of poverty, which is good, but probably we need a little bit more consideration about other things that weren't thought about in the previous century. So our school, in a nutshell, is relatively new. It was built in 2018 as a hybrid kind of global and local program. The program itself is under the purview of the Ministry of Education. And so upon graduation, the students will get a MBA degree in design and leadership for societal innovation. I'll explain a little bit why we have this emphasis on societal innovation and also how we try to approach it in the curriculum section. But it is a 2-year program. And the unique part of the program is that it is a part-time program. So every student has their day job during the weekdays, during the daytime. And our classes happen on weekday evenings as well as weekends. 80 students per year, and which are divided equally into the English class and the Japanese class. And our school year always starts in August. So last month, we also welcomed 84 new students into our program. And currently, the admission cycle is for the next cohort, which will start in April 2024. Sorry, August 2024. So although our school is relatively new, we kind of have a sister organization that precedes the existence of Shizenkan. And it's a program called the Institute for Strategic Leadership. And it has been created by the same founder as Shizenkan, Dr. Noda. And so Noda has been running this program for over 20 years. And you could think of it as an executive MBA program. So for more senior leaders than the Shizenkan students, so people in their 40s and 50s, and mainly from Japanese corporates. And the courses are all in Japanese in this case. But the ISL program, as we call it, has a good track record. And we've kind of been able to educate and also be part of the learning journey of these kind of executives who have gone on to run large Japanese corporates. And as well as social entrepreneurs. And so basically taking the course methodology of ISL, we basically created Shizenkan into an MBA program. And so you can think of it as the two programs having a lot in common. And some of the commonality are these things. And so in both ISL and Shizenkan program, obviously, since it's a business program, we do place a lot of emphasis on analyzing the past results or the present kind of condition of organizations and corporates. But we think that that is not enough, which is why we try to teach students about how to envision the future. So not only looking at the past and analyzing, let's say, the historical records of a company, but also trying to think, okay, how would you craft the future path of that organization? Another thing that we try to put an emphasis on is not only to ask the question of how, so how do you make more sales? How do you increase margin? How do you approach this certain customer? But also the question of why. So why would you want to sell this product? Why would you like to engage with that stakeholder group? And often there's no right answer for this. And it becomes a very interesting discussion within the class when you actually have to confront with the why question. And talking about confrontation, our program, both the ISL and Shizenkan program, is a lot about discussing with others, with faculty members as well as classmates, but also putting a lot of emphasis on your self-reflection. And so we want to help you kind of understand yourself more because we think that having that good understanding about your core values, about your beliefs, is what makes you a unique business leader yourself. So on that note, this is the kind of leadership model that we aspire, and that during the 2 years program, we try to kind of prepare students to be this kind of business leader. And there are a few elements. At the kind of center is the willpower of each person, and this is really the passion, right? What kind of brings you awake, and what brings you out of bed every morning. And surrounding that are a few kind of core, let's say, capabilities or abilities. One is the ability to be rooted or grounded. And so this is really your kind of base values, your fundamental beliefs. And sometimes it might be your ethics as well. And then, based on that, there is the ability to envision. So, as I mentioned, it's not only it is important to kind of analyze the past and the previous situation, but really to kind of draw the extension from there and think about how you're going to manage an organization in the future. And the future is becoming more and more uncertain and volatile, which is why it makes it so much more challenging. But we hope to help you get the tools in order to kind of craft not just a dream plan, which is unrealistic, but actually something that is very convincing and also kind of backed by logic. Once you have that plan, then in order to realize it, it's probably the case where you can't do it alone. And so you would need your supporters, you would need your partners, you would need various stakeholders that will help you on that realization. And in order to do that, you need to convince people, which is why it's very important to think about your communication skills, as well as the ability to kind of create an organization that functions well. And so a leader with those abilities is the type of, let's say, students that we want those of you who join us to become. Talking a little bit about curriculum. So obviously, since we are an MBA school, in the first year, these are the core courses. You would have a lot of traditional courses like accounting, corporate finance, strategic thinking. But we also want to equip you with some of the more current topics, such as system thinking and chaos theory, future perspectives, which makes you kind of envision and help you with the kind of forward-looking mindset. Even if you haven't kind of dealt directly with AI or programming, we still think that every leader needs to have a basic understanding of those concepts, especially because of the prevalence of ChatGPT, which is why we have this course as well on AI and digital. Then we also want to help you kind of nurture your creative side as well, which is why we'll have these kind of courses borrowing concepts from, creative thinking, also design thinking, human-centric design, and also marketing is not just how to sell more shampoo, it's more about creating new markets. And last of all, in order for you to become able to convince people to join your endeavors, we would have a lot of courses on communication, organizational behavior, and your team leadership skills. At the beginning of the second year, we'll bring all of this together and have two courses, the business policy course and the business plan course, which will make you put yourself in the shoes of a big leader, a leader of a large organization in the case of business policy, and the position of a leader for a small and medium enterprise organization in the business plan case. And using all of this knowledge that you acquired in the first year, these two classes will try and make you use your knowledge that you acquired and tackle business cases with your classmates. So hopefully this kind of synthesized the learning that you did in the first year. And then supplementing the kind of core MBA courses, we have a lot of liberal arts courses. And so this is really to kind of balance your both sides of your brain. And also, we think that we all are very busy people, and in our daily lives, we probably live in a very narrow space, whether it's in your work environment or your societal environment, maybe it's your community, but it's really difficult to kind of transcend those narrow daily boundaries that we have, which is why we try to help every one of the students stretch those boundaries in terms of time as well as level using these kind of courses, liberal arts courses. So starting off with questioning what a company is for, how did it come into existence, this kind of concept of capitalism as well as democracy. We kind of look back into history and also we will look into Western philosophy because often that is where the concept of capitalism, socialism, communism even comes from. And it's very important to understand where those concepts came from in order to understand what went wrong and how those concepts could be fixed if necessary. We also kind of have a very parallel approach to Western philosophy with Eastern philosophy. And so in our view, the Western philosophy of Descartes and Kant is very logical, whereas Eastern philosophies and borrowing concepts from, let's say, Chinese Confucius, we see that often in Asia, we have a very holistic approach. We like concepts like animism. We believe that there's a lot of gods rather than one monogod. And so we try to balance those concepts by kind of juxtaposing Western and Eastern philosophy, then also looking at science and technology and how that has benefited us. But also, as I explained in the beginning, in some cases, it has also had quite a negative effect. So we'll look into that. We will also try and help you understand how we kind of structure our societies and what sort of systems we bring in. And so we have kind of progressed a lot in terms of designing our social structures. It has certainly made our lives much convenient, almost wherever we are on this planet. But it's not necessarily the case that the more that we have social structures, the more happy we are. And as this can be seen in the kind of high levels of suicide, even in countries like Japan or Korea. So why is that happening? Those are the questions that we'll kind of look at. Sorry, I skipped this one, but we also kind of look at religion. And since about 80% of the 8 billion population on this planet believes in some sort of religious belief, we believe that it's really important to understand the differences of the major religions in order to better understand other people. And so we'll look at religion from the point of view of how it affects business and how we can better understand others if we understand religion. So alongside all of that, so the kind of core concepts or core courses, as well as the liberal arts courses, we have a lot of time for self-reflection. And this is the kind of structure that we have throughout the 2 years at Shizenkan. But at the very beginning, when you join, we do kind of a check-in and we ask you to kind of think about your leadership capabilities and where you stand. And benchmark yourself against some of the leaders that you aspire or respect. Then after you do that check-in for the next kind of several months in the first year, through the different kind of confrontation with others, the dialogue, the discussions, hopefully you'll update your leadership capabilities. And towards the end, once again, towards the end of the first year, you'll do another kind of self-assessment about yourself and see the development that you've achieved during the past year. In the second year, a core component is this individual seminar project. And this is kind of like a graduation dissertation. And so every student will pick his or her business project. And in this case, when I say business, it could be a social enterprise project. It could even be a public policy project rather than a specific organization project that you would like to drill down during the second year. But once the seminar starts, we'll put 4 or 5 students into one group, and one faculty will basically coach the 4 or 5. And throughout the year, each of the students will develop their seminar projects in order to come up with a finalized version at the point of graduation. But even that, the seminar project is a way to self-reflect. So hopefully starting with, okay, what sort of project do I want to do? And what will I be passionate about working on for the next 10 months or 12 months will be the first question. And then towards the second half of the second year, we'll hopefully equip you with a lot of opportunity for you to start envisioning what happens upon graduation. And when you start pursuing your seminar project in real life once you graduate. And then 2 years from the commencement of the program, there is the graduation, and that is the completion of the 2-year journey. Now, just to sum up, we have quite a ambitious program, and we like kind of putting concepts that can sometimes contradict each other. So it is a global program where we have an English course as well as a Japanese course, but we try to be rooted in the local context. And in so our case, our campus is based in near Tokyo Station, and in an area called Nihonbashi, where interestingly enough, there are a lot of 100-year-old companies. And so 100-year-old companies that no one has ever heard about. And so we would like to kind of interact with the local context or the local organization, but also kind of balance it with the global side. Although we are a business degree, we also think that there is importance in understanding society at large, which is why we'll kind of mix a lot of concepts which are not strictly business. And we also try to strike a balance of having non-business people in the classroom as well. The innovation, as I mentioned, is really important, but we think that it has to serve humanity, which is why we have to balance this and not just pursue innovation just for the sake of innovating. As I explained in the philosophy example, we also kind of try to balance West and East or Western Asia because often there's a very different approach into things. Looking into the classroom, every year we have about 20 countries, 25 countries or regions represented in the class of 80. Mainly in the English-speaking course, and more on the Japanese course, there would be a majority of Japanese students participating because of the language setup. But still, there would be non-Japanese people who would be joining the Japanese class as well, adding to the diversity. And in terms of the business, non-business sector, there are always about 20 to 25% non-business sector representation in the classroom. So people coming from the NGOs, the NPOs, people coming from different embassies, people who are running their own kind of organization, not-for-profit organization. And so there is a increasing representation from the not-for-profit or non-business sector. The faculty and student ratio is almost 1-4. So almost every 4 students, there's 1 faculty, which is, I think, compared to other programs as well, pretty high. And some of the faculties are these people. And so they usually have wearing multiple hats. So it's not just pure academia that these people are placed or that they are active. They usually have their own, let's say, field. And so consequentially, our lectures become very much real case study. And so rather than being very theoretical, there is usually always real world examples that are pulled in. We also try to organize these forums where we'll try to bring in interesting leaders and to have them share their leadership journey. And this is more a kind of off the record or very intimate setting where it won't be open to the public. And where Shizenkan current students as well as sometimes alumni will be brought in order to interact with some of the program that we came up with these partners is, for example, the Future of Capitalism project, which really tries to kind of reinvent or reimagine what capitalism should look like. And rather than always having excessive risk taking and boom and bust every 10 to 15 years. How should we kind of have more of a different approach than just pure greed? And so in this case, 14 schools, including Shizenkan, come together, and we usually have a bunch of students representing each of the schools and engaging in dialogue about the future of capitalism with these kind of people. So Rebecca Henderson from Harvard Business School, she talks about capitalism 2.0. John Elkington, who came up with the concept of triple bottom line. Paul Polman, CEO of Unilever, about moral leadership, and also James from Silicon Valley, who's been with Apple for a long time, and also Professor Rockstrom, who's big in on climate impact topics. And so we'll kind of engage with these kind of distinctive leaders as well as the other students from other schools in order to think about how to better approach capitalism. In terms of student life, I took this from actually last September and how the first year students' schedule looked like. And so the blue kind of squares would represent where the official classes are. And so usually during the weekdays from Monday to Friday, there would likely be one course in the evening on the weekdays. And then on the weekends, sometimes there may be one or two courses on either Saturday or Sunday. And the exact kind of timing or which date a course happens will kind of depend on the course. And so we wouldn't have necessarily every Wednesday evening, it would always be Shizenkan course. There would be a little bit of fluidity in that sense. And usually, since we're moving out of COVID, there will be an increasing number of offline courses as well. And so still, it will be a hybrid structure, but I think we can expect 70 to 80% of the courses being offline. And just explaining from another way, we kind of observe this pattern from our students and how they structure their actual day time slot. And so obviously the purple is the working hour. So during the weekdays, obviously everyone's working at their respective organizations or their companies. The class happens basically twice a week, one in the evening and then on the weekdays and then on the weekends. And then the orange is basically when the students actually do their self-learning, pre-reading or post-learning, as well as when they get together with other classmates to do group assignments. And so it really happens outside of work as well as outside of class. And then the green is the private slot. And so when people who have families who attend their families or basically do other kind of engagement outside of work and Shizenkan. But hopefully this gives you an idea that it's going to be a very busy 2 year if you join Shizenkan. And so that's kind of I hope I don't scare you off, but at least this is something to keep in mind. Now, our lecture style is very interactive. So it's not the case where we just give you books and we hope you read it. Very contradictory to that. You will kind of read case, but the point of reading, let's say, a case is to really discuss. And so you would use whiteboards, you would kind of discuss among yourself. They may be disputes, but hopefully healthy disputes. And often there's a lot of group learning and learning from each other, which is why I think the interactivity of the courses is really important. In order to do that, the faculties as well as the staff members at Shizenkan will make sure that it is a academically rigorous kind of atmosphere, but also a safe space in order for you to kind of discuss different topics for every class. And so hopefully that you will be able to trust the environment and that you can open up and also kind of contribute to others' learning as well. Our campus is located again near Tokyo, in the Nihonbashi area. And actually, it sits on top of a huge department store, so going to buy lunch boxes is relatively easy. Our classrooms look like this. There are a couple of these. We also have a good library and a good selection of books. Actually, I really like just picking up random books and looking at them. Since it's a tough 2 year, we also have yoga and meditation classes for those of you who are interested. On the local bit, we also participate in local festivities as well in order to build the community feeling. And so this is some of the preceding class students who participated in the local festival this year. Just a quick note to kind of wrap things up on the enrollment. So we are in the enrollment cycle right now. The admission has been formally opened from 2 months ago. And almost every 2-3 months, we will have a rolling admission deadline. And the first wave would be towards the end of November. And then basically after a couple of months, we always have the second and the third wave deadline. And for those of you who want to apply for scholarships, usually the application also comes with the scholarship demand. And so you'll be submitting those at the same time as you submit your application. And the scholarship deadline is also when the third wave deadline comes. And so after all of that, in August 2024, we will start a new cohort. And just in terms of people we're looking for, obviously someone who can take the initiative rather than just being a follower. Someone who is still curious and who is eager to learn more, but also someone who really likes to think critically and actually ask a lot of questions. And also this is important, but I use the word altruistic, but someone who really kind of has this sense of social responsibility or awareness and who wants to kind of, who has the willingness to help others, not just help him or herself. Now, in terms of the procedure, everything is online on our website in terms of the application documents. And the application itself is done online as well on our website. And then once we receive your documents, we would start screening. And so for each wave, we will do rolling interviews. So it's not like we will wait until May or June in order to do interviews. Once we get enough applications, we'll kind of do those interviews. Usually it's 2 or 3 faculties with 1 student. And we'll ask questions to get to know the candidates better. And also in terms of language proficiency, whether it's there or not, we'll also kind of assess during the interview. It is a huge investment, not only in time, but also financially as well, which is why we try to offer different supports. And so, as I mentioned, there is a scholarship that we have, a non-refundable one. So you won't, students who apply for this don't have the obligation to pay back. And at the maximum case, it covers almost everything out of the tuition. Aside from our own scholarship, there's obviously other scholarships as well as for most people who have been working in Japan for more than 2 years, there is this government subsidy program where out of this amount, about one-fifth or 1/4, so 1.12 million yen would be subsidized by the government. And so a lot of the previous students have also taken advantage of this government benefit. And obviously there's student loans with different banks. And that's also another way to finance your education. So that was quite a lot from me. So I'll pause here and if you have any questions, would be happy to answer. If not, these are kind of some of the ways that you can also keep in touch with us. And if you have any questions that you come up with after today, we're also more than happy to answer them if you can contact us on this email address.